We have to have clarity here. It's time to have clarity. Real clarity.
Watching the Republican Party spiral into an even deeper pit of lost dignity and self-worth, I can't help but feel a guilty pleasure. You feel me? But there is one MAGA bum jettison that stands out among this cast of weak Caucasians. And I think you know who I'm talking about.
MAGA cannot be ignored.
That, of course, is Dairy Queen, the Cinderella story of white trash America.
So I'm very excited about that.
Rising like a phoenix of Mountain Dew cans and McDonald's wrappers to a position of prominent ridicule and punchlines.
Mike Johnson's speakership is over. He needs to do the right thing to resign and allow us to move forward in a controlled process.
Yeah.
If he doesn't do so, he will be vacated.
Well, with all due respect, you didn't give me a plan for the speaker's role. And again, does this mean you are going to file that motion at some point?
It's coming regardless of what Mike Johnson decides to do. And we have 3 more Republicans joining us from special elections coming up very soon. So people need to know this can happen.
In the last 4 years, she has morphed from an amazingly dim-witted, coarse stump of a human into a traitorous sow who has supported both a coup against our government and an unwavering supporter of Putin's war against Ukraine. A war which, for the record, has killed hundreds of thousands of men, women, and children living in a democratically run country that fought for its independence while the USSR satellite to grow into an independent and Western-style government and economy. Oh yeah, and they're our allies. Just like our boyfriend Tucker, who groveled at the feet of Putin, Miss Waffle House has not gone unnoticed in the Russian press.
Ну, конечно, моментально ее объявили российским агентом, и выходят статьи с надписью «Нет».
Марджори Тейлор Грин, которую ты показал, блондинка, ходит в белых пальто с меховым воротником.
Margie is hardcore Trump, who has promised that when he's elected, he will not support NATO countries from Russian aggression.
One of the presidents of a big country stood up and said, well, sir, if we don't pay and we're attacked by Russia, will you protect us? I said, no, I would not protect you. In fact, I would encourage them to do whatever the hell they want. You got to pay.
I will say this about Waffle House. She is unrelenting. Unlike Cruz, Rubio, and Lindsey Graham, she has stood next to Trump from day one.
This man is a pathological liar.
But for the rest of us, Dairy Queen is like a herpes sore, painfully embarrassing and appearing at the most ugly and awkward of times.
The greatest president in United States history.
I used to wonder how people in Georgia could support her attack on the Constitution and her support of a coup against our government.
Indictable.
But it's Georgia, where they still fly the Confederate flag and think Dukes of Hazzard was a documentary. So the news is that Dairy Queen is trying to oust Mike Johnson, the current speaker. Watching them fight is like being at a free clinic waiting to hear if you have crabs or chlamydia. No one wins. And as much as I loathe Johnson, a theocrat who would like to make prayer mandatory in public schools and who allows his son to monitor his porn use,
that's nasty.
Dairy Queen's time in D.C. reads like a proctology exam. She supported the January 6th attack and bemoaned its failure.
Then January 6th happens, and next thing you know, I organized the whole thing along with Steve Bannon here. And I want to tell you something, if Steve Bannon and I had organized that, we would have won.
Then, when questioned during the January 6 hearings, she showed her cowardly colors.
Anyone ever mentioned to you the possibility that there might be violence in Washington on January 6th, 2021?
I don't remember.
My question is just about whether anybody at all ever mentioned to you the possibility of violence.
I don't remember.
Okay, so you're not denying it, you're just saying you don't recall.
I don't recall.
Marjorie Taylor Greene has spread incredibly insane conspiracy theories.
Have you guys been following 4chan? Q is a patriot. We know that for sure. It's not just Democrat and Republican, left and right. You can dive down in that civil war into deeper levels where we have basically the deep state is fighting back against President Trump, the loyal people in his administration, and the American people.
And she was banned from appearing on any committees for 2 years for 2 reasons. She's as dumb as a bag of hammers, and she's untrustworthy.
This earth warming and carbon is actually healthy for us. We've already warmed 1 degree Celsius, and do you know what's happened since then? Here, let me tell you. We have had more food grown.
Here's what this fight is about. Johnson defied Trump and MAGA and helped pass a bipartisan funding bill for Ukraine. Because Johnson has enough sense of history to understand that should Ukraine fall, Poland and NATO could be next. And it's not like it's never happened. And I guess to his credit, Altar boy Mike, who killed the border bill to save Trump's political ass, is now in the MAGA crosshairs.
Johnson's actually, I think, lied more because at least McCarthy didn't try to treat us like fools. He just lied to us. Johnson's trying to sell you that he's actually Mr. Christian, Mr. Biblical worldview, and that this is what MAGA wants, this is what Trump wants, which is a total bald-faced lie, ma'am.
Johnson's done even worse than that, Steve. Just for the war room to know, Jake Sherman tweeted out this morning, Biden won on every single policy issue, and this is all possible due to Mike Johnson. And this is not what Republican voters gave us the majority for. Steve, you're asking the right questions, and these are the same questions I'm asking. I demand, here's what I want to demand for all of us to see. If we're going to have to give $61 billion to Ukraine, in order for the Ukrainian men to be slaughtered on the battlefield, because this just continues the war maybe a few more months, maybe to the end of the summer. It doesn't guarantee a Ukrainian victory because everyone knows they're going to lose eventually. It just is a matter of when. But it does guarantee that more Ukrainian men will be slaughtered on the battlefield.
I'd like to ask Waffle House how she feels about Poland, France, Germany, and the rest of NATO. Should they just lay down too? Those Ukrainian men she has so casually dying on the battlefield would rather die fighting for their country than live in a world where people like her have a seat at the table.
And what the American people deserve to know is we want to know the proof. We want to know the proof of Russia's plans to continue to go all the way to Kiev and then take Poland and continue to go marching across Europe like they've claimed and like they've told us on all these news shows over and over again. We demand the proof.
The proof? Open a history book, Miss Piggy. Talk to the family of Alexei Navalny. Biden was alive during the Cold War, and ironically, it was a Republican president who defeated the Russians. Who would have looked at Dairy Queen for what she really is? A stain on the blanket of freedom from which our nation once stood. The dim-witted MAGA warriors like felon and con artist Steve Bannon and this human recycle can pledge allegiance to the grifter con who paints himself orange and kneels down before Vlad. And they both have made our country a far more dangerous place to live. Steve Bannon talks tough and he thinks his homeless chic makes him look tough, but he's an uneducated hump. Still, these two so belong together. Imagine if they got sexy and birthed a spawn-like creature of their own. What would it look like? Oh, man, that's nasty.
Who's with me?
Hi, what's up?
Time to pack it up.
This isn't their Republican Party anymore. Am I wrong? Yeah, right. Tick-tock.
You're in a lot of trouble, Donnie.
Thank you so much for watching. YouTube frequently penalizes my videos for taking on controversial subjects, hurting our ability to earn ad revenue, which we use to hire more hosts and make more videos. We think it's so important to make these videos now and expose a Republican cult. So please join us on Patreon. The link is in the comments. We literally can't make these without you. Thank you so much. For Really American Media,
I think he's crazy.
I'm Chip Franklin.